moderate that, Bob Schwartz will come up and be the moderator, and so I'll have our panelists come in and take a seat, and Bob will come in to moderate. So please welcome our panel.
So we thought it was really important to have an opportunity to draw on some of the experience in the region from educators and employers who've had the opportunity to work together on career pathways kinds of projects over the last few years. The department was kind enough to select a set of partnerships for us, so I'm really delighted that we've got with us three peers. We have from Porterville, Danette Silva Carter, President and CEO of the Porterville Chamber of Commerce, and the Porterville Superintendent, John Snavely. We have Darius Assemi, President of Granville Homes, and the Superintendent from the Central Unified School District, Mike Berg. And we have Eric Barber, Senior Director of College and Career Partnerships from Roll Global here, and Raul Maldonado, the Superintendent of the McFarland Unified School District. I've asked from each partnership one person to kind of begin by quickly just laying out some of the basics, describing the partnership, kind of how it evolved, what its focus is, who's served, just to get some basic kind of information and facts on the table. Then each partner, I'm sure, will invite his other partner, if he was his partner, to kind of comment on that. Then we'll have a more open discussion among the panelists on lessons learned, what some of the challenges and barriers and problems have been. And then I've asked them all to think a bit about, given the opportunities represented by especially the Career Pathways Trust, as they think ahead, how do they think their own work can start to be scaled up, and what are the implications, for others wanting to kind of follow in this direction? So, who's going to speak from Porterville? John, you going to start? Yeah, thanks. John, you going to start? Yeah, thanks.
Good morning. John Snavely. And it's indeed a pleasure to speak with you this morning and give you a little bit of experience in the Porterville touch. We've been, first of all, about Porterville. Most of you probably realize we're down in Tulare County. We're a unified district, very large area-wise. We cover nearly 3,000 square miles. We're a huge area to cover. And we have about 13,500 K-12 students. But we have a disproportionately high population of high school students because we still have 14 elementary districts that feed into our high schools. So we educate about half of our K-8s, the other half come from 14 of the districts. So we have a very large number of high school students. We've been involved with Linked Learning and Pathways now for about 7 years. And I think it's fair to say that we were probably pretty much pioneers in this respect. And we have now evolved to where we have 9 different career-themed pathways throughout our 5 high schools that are open to all students. We provide access and open enrollment for all students, all high school students coming into the system to be able to enroll in one of our pathways. At this point, this year, we have about half, almost 50% of our 9th grade population has enrolled in one of our career-themed pathways. And our current recruitment that's taking place, we're ahead of where we were last year, so I expect to next year maybe 60-65%, maybe even higher, of our incoming freshmen will be enrolled in a college and career-themed pathway.
And the role of the chamber and employers? The role of the chamber.
The Chamber of Commerce has been involved basically since day one at the table, both myself as well as various members within the community who serve on advisory boards now. So it's a very strong partnership, and we knew going into the implementation of Pathways that we would have to have that partnership in order to form all those work-based learning opportunities.
Come back, and I'm going to ask all of you a bit more about the kind of workplace learning opportunities and what some of the challenges that are in trying to organize and structure those and scale them up.
Let's move on to Brandon Holmes and the
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Mike Berg, Superintendent, Central Unified. A little bit about us. We are a Fresno County School District. We are about 1/3 City of Fresno, 2/3 County of Fresno geographically, and yet we're exactly the opposite demographically. We are about 2/3 enrolled from City of Fresno and 1/3 enrolled from the county. And so we have really two halves of our brain. We're a rural urban school district. We too have what we call career academies or career pathway strands throughout our high school, but we're also morphing that into our middle school. We have opportunity for kids to enroll in core sections that then feed into our career academies, and we do that for a couple of reasons. The obvious first is to provide students exposure and exploratory opportunity to be thinking about where they will head through high school into career or through high school into higher learning. We also have a very robust career technical education component to that in our adult school, in our independent study strand, and in our high school setting. And a little different than Porterville and perhaps our other partnership, we are just on the cusp of developing a very robust actual partnership, business and district. What we know is we have a very robust personal relationship and philanthropic and service learning relationship with Grantville Homes, and are very happy with that. And what we've known, and what I'm sure Mr. Semi will share with you as well, is that we've worked in silos for a lot of years, and you hear that term, it's overused, but we know that our business partners have tremendous resources, and I'm not talking about financial resources, I'm talking about experiential resources that they can bring to the table, and we have tremendous resources from an academic and an instructional standpoint. And so where we're going is to really marry those two sets of resources into a better relationship, to have really a seamless transition from high school into either career pathway training or directly into careers. That's the genesis of our conversation.
Darius, you want to add anything from your perspective?
Thank you, Bob. We want to provide some of the field laboratory opportunities and some of the expertise to train and educate some of our students that would otherwise not have those opportunities. And once they have gone through the system and picked up those skills, we want to provide the opportunities, not only our company, but hopefully our industry. Today, as we're embarking on this housing recovery, we have a shortage of skilled labor in Fresno, City of Fresno and Fresno County. So we would like to partner. We've talked about this partnership for years, and we're very excited to partner up with Central Unified and Superintendent Berg about a relationship that could help empower our students, get them better skills and ideally better pay, and also satisfy the needs of an industry that is so hungry for this skilled labor.
Sounds like win-win.
Thank you.
Eric Barba from Roll Global. Just to give you a little background on Roll Global, is a multi-billion-dollar privately owned company by Stuart and Linda Resnick.
Let me add to that. They're the largest farmer in the world.
That too. And so we own, they own four major companies in the Central Valley, which is Paramount Citrus, Paramount Farming International, and Palm. And we believe in ag, obviously, and we work very closely with school districts. Historically, we've worked closely with school districts where our employees' children are enrolled, and we've invested quite a bit of philanthropy money and educational philanthropy money in those school districts. We have been embarked on a new relationship with 3 school districts, and we're hoping to launch it in 2004, fall of 2004. 2014, I'm 10 years behind. 3 ag tech academies, which really take the components of the Career Partnership Academy and everything that's been learned about Career Partnership Academies. We've been learning from existing partnership academies and taking everything that's great about the Partnership Academy, but also marrying that with early college research and early college opportunities that our local community colleges are very eager and interested in partnering with us. And we're working with Bakersfield College and West Hills College as well, and we're very excited. This is one of our partners, which is McFarland Unified School District, and specifically there, we're looking at launching an ag mechanics pathway. Does everybody see why I'm sitting here? He's not going anywhere. We are very excited to be working with Paramount Farms Global. I'm the new superintendent for the McFarland Unified School District. I've been on the job for about 6 months. Taking the job, the school board was very hesitant to take on the partnership because they felt, an outside company is going to come in and run our high school. So I met with Eric, and we have a lot in common. And then I met with his boss, and ultimately I met with Linda. And so we sat down across the table. I explained to her what kinds of things and challenges I have in my community. My community is 97% Latino students, 45% are English learners. So what I wanted to do is to make sure that we had career pathways at our high school, because ultimately the students need to go out, get a career, or work in the community, and there's not a whole lot of choices other than if they drop out, they're going to end up in the fields picking grapes. And so I didn't want that at all. When I talked to Eric, Eric said, by the way, we have engineers, welders, we have all these different professions, and if we embark in this academy, ultimately they will get a chance to work for us, or if they want to go out to a college, they may do so, and then take the units with them. And I said, are you kidding? May I enroll my own child in this program? Because certainly you can save some money and ultimately create that pathway for students to really look at what do they want to do. And many times, as you know, you can go to a student and say, what is it that you ultimately want to do? And they don't really know. So I applaud all of us who are thinking about creating those pathways, because certainly we want to give those students a goal in mind. And if they end up in that career pathway and get a job, ultimately, no matter how many exams we have for Common Core, my exam is very simple. If I can keep my own child out of that extra room at my house, we're successful, because they'll be on their own. And so therefore, I want that to be true of my students at the high school. I wanted to make sure that they know that we're there to help them, but ultimately they have to do the work. So it's very exciting. Along with that, we're also working other pathways, including the Ag Academy, but we're also looking at writing grants to Roe Global and getting grants for parenting classes, making sure that we have other grants for elementary school teachers. And Paramount has been very kind, and we thank them for that, because it's helping us, it's boosting our program, and it's making our high school, elementary schools more attractive and more competitive in our community. So watch out for McFarland, because we're going to be competitive. And not only that, we're also building a new school, and along with it, we're creating a pathway through the dual immersion programs. And so that's another one that's going to extend all the way up to the high school, where we can build 2 languages, and ultimately at the high school bring in a 3rd language. So we're very excited to work with Roe Global and Eric, and we want to thank him for all of his work and his motivation behind his company. So thank you.
Very well. Thank all of you for doing this. Thank all of you for doing this. Really, a glimpse of what you're up to. So we've got really one partnership with substantial kind of years of experience, 2 others kind of on the cusp, really ready to roll. Let's come back to Porterville and talk a bit about some of the challenges of work-based learning, what some of the challenges of recruiting employers and trying to make sure that we can get most kids in these pathways. Some kind of sense of what the workload, kind of on the ground sense of what the
I think one of the challenges at the beginning was what you assume a work-based learning opportunity is. And so you can't assume that it's going to be a specific, type of internship. So we were able to overcome that by making sure that everyone was educated, and including the employer sector, of course, on what the opportunities are that exist. And then when you go into an internship, there are also different types of ways that it can be considered a paid internship too. So we've been able to employ a variety of different options to help to overcome that barrier of thinking that, wow, we may not have enough opportunities within our community, but we really truly have had the opportunities there. And the partnership with the Chamber, the Workforce Investment Board, the City of Porterville, the college, we really are aligning the community for those opportunities.
And prior to internships, what kind of other experiences did kids get? Job shadowing, are there opportunities for kids to do visits, for employees to come into the schools? I'm just trying to get a sense of what how you've done.
Yes, we really provide all of the above. As John had indicated, it was a challenge developing that relationship, although we've always had a close connection with our Chamber of Commerce. Trying to really now engage the individual employers was critical to our success. We do not have a large, one company that dominates the community. We have Ag Base, and I'd love to speak with you after this second. So it's important that we have opportunities and engage the employers. And as was mentioned earlier, that we did not have 9 different individuals going after the same employer to try to get relationships and such. And it wasn't just the high schools, it was our community colleges that also had advisory boards, and they wanted to, so we've really combined those efforts so that our employers are only getting approached by one individual and coordinated. But those start at the freshman level, and there's lots of ways. There's interviewing skills, there's the application, college applications, work application preparation. And just there's so many opportunities for employers to really become engaged to help students understand what a career is all about.
It's Mike and Darius, as you hear, it's the Porterville Duo describing what they've been doing, implications for how they think about what the next steps are for your emerging partnership.
Appreciate that opportunity. We actually have started and haven't really articulated that well. We in our district, and any of our districts, have workability programs, the old work experience program. And one of the things that we know, and I was sharing a story with Darius just yesterday, is we have homeless students as an example, that we can wrap our resources around these kids and we can get them to the finish line, we can get them to graduation. But if all we do is teach them the technical academic knowledge without any skill set, they're going to graduate and they're going to fall off the face of the earth. So what we're talking about is integrating his working laboratory, and Darius is a humble man. The Granville companies have an agricultural component. They have a construction, business finance component through the construction. They also have a medical field component, pharmaceutical school. And so really we have a partnership that's on that brink that's going to go into all 3 of those avenues. We have sports medicine. We have principles of technology and engineering. And obviously we have an ag school because we're pretty rural. And so what we're talking about really doing is bringing his industry experts into our classrooms, supervised by our certificated, for those of you who are in the school world out there, so that we're covering our bases, but really having the experts come into our classrooms and provide relevance. If you take a welding class, take a sheet metal breaking class, anything that would happen in a traditional metal shop, having those experts come in and really talk about, wow, what are you doing with this machine, whether it's a plasma cutter or a 3D printer or a metal brake, and help them understand and probably even build component parts to a home as an example with help by the experts. And then the flip side of that, as part of our K-12 content, take those kids actually out into the field and see the fit and finish and how that component part works into that product. So they get the relevance, and they actually get, from Darius's perspective, I'll let him share, but they get work experience that on graduation day would qualify them to literally be employed rather than go begging for a position someplace, bragging about what they might have learned. Darius and his companies will know they have real-time experience, real-time connection, and on-the-ground internship as part of their high school experience.
This is, as you probably got from Nancy's presentation, when you look at the difference between the level of employer engagement in those other systems and ours, employers come to the table in these other countries, partly out of a sense of kind of corporate social responsibility, but even more important, they see very directly the connection with their long-term economic self-interest. Developing such folks who on day one can contribute to their work. And often in the West, at least, we have employers who kind of want to sit back and basically say, until you send us people who've got a perfect skill set, we're not interested in working. Obviously, that doesn't get you anywhere near as far as actually engaging with educators and helping shape experience to make sure that young people are coming out really ready to work when they ready. Darius, any other comments in terms of?
Yeah, just a couple of comments. Basically with this relationship that we're striking with Central Unified is about, it's like having the customer get involved in designing the product up front, so that when the product is designed, the customer is ready to purchase that product. So by us getting involved, the industry and our company getting involved early on, we make sure that the keyword is relevant, that the instruction is relevant, that we're getting the skill level that is going to be necessary. That skill set is going to be taught at school, so that when those students graduate, they have the skill set necessary to go right into work with us. So we want to be at the table to help develop the part of the curriculum and train, whether it's the teachers or the students themselves, with a set of skills. And then they will go through this program, and then once they graduate, they can go right into the program, right into our employment centers and other companies in our industry. So again, it's basically the customer is at the table helping develop the product. So the product is developed and it's ready to be consumed by the customer. So we've learned in our country that when the customer is excluded and just planning of whatever takes place without the customer at the table or without the market at the table, the results are not going to be as robust as when you have the marketplace or the customer at the table up front. Whether you're planning your city, planning an update to your general plan, or you're developing a curriculum program for K-12.
Great, thank you. For those of you who looked at the bios in your packet, you'll notice that Eric is here representing an employer. He's basically an educator with a lot of very relevant background. I couldn't help but think when Darius was using the customer, kind of metaphor here. You referenced the early college high school. You referenced high schools have two sets of customers. They've got higher education institutions and they've got higher employers. I wonder if you talk a bit about your experience with the early college high school model, because we think this is a very powerful, model. I mean, just a quick piece of data. Just yesterday, there was a report on college completion nationally. Of those who started college 6 years ago, 54% actually emerged with a degree. If you just isolated the 60% those students who actually got started college while they were starting in high school, their graduation and completion rates were 66 or 67%. Substantially higher than those who did not enter college with any prior experience. We now have a national network of early college high schools serving about 100,000 students. If you look at the demographics of those 100,000 students, they are predominantly low-income, first in their family to go on to higher education. Roughly half of them are graduating with at least 1 year of post-secondary credit while they're still in high school. Roughly a quarter of them are actually graduating high school with 2 years of college behind them. So I guess those students are disproportionately more likely to then continue and more likely to then complete. So say a word about your own experience. Say a word about story and how you see this combining the kind of early college model, if you will, with the career academy model. Something that advocating for.
Absolutely. So, as a high school principal, I was a principal of Duarte High School. I had the opportunity to create with Citrus Community College in the East San Gabriel Valley an early college program there. And I would say, after the program was fully implemented, my students, graduated high school with 37 transferable I-Get-C college units, and that would probably be, in my opinion, probably the single most important accomplishment of my principalship there, because that was very real to students. It's something they left with, and that's something, their scores on that helped my API score rise didn't do anything for them. But that transcript that they left with was tremendous. They completed their AA the next year. Many of the students were ranked, in the teens and got into UCLA where usually only valedictorians can get into UCLA, but because of, I believe, they saw the importance of a student having a track history, a track record of being successful in college while in high school. So as we're developing the scope and sequence for our partner schools, we're creating stackable programs for the students. So one model is an AA degree in ag business embedded in the high school experience with also a certification. In two other of our models, the students will complete a certification either in ag mechanics or in plant science, which will cover about a year's worth of transferable units. And then those students will then matriculate to the partnership college, whether that be West Hills or Bakersfield College, and they'll complete or have the opportunity or the choice to complete that AA degree. So we're hypothesizing we'll have some students that will take that certification and will go to work in a not as necessarily entry-level job, but we'll skip a few steps and we'll get a job making $30,000, $40,000 coming right out of high school. Others will choose to go after that AA degree. And then we know some others will go straight to a UC, a Cal State, or a private school, and will come back as possibly engineers or choose to go into other fields. But students can use any of these programs to their benefit in however they work the program.
I just want to ask people to comment a bit of some of the problems and challenges you see in kind of scaling up this work, and then I want to ask panelists to think a bit about the implications for how we take advantage of the opportunities presented by the $250 million trust to not only accelerate your experience, but implications for others. I think of that, I keep thinking of this work as enabling us to build on the enormous body of experience that Californians have with partnership academies and now more recently learning work and work that's been subsidized through the community college system through SB70 and now 1070. How to move from just a lot of really, really good project work to something that really is more systemic and that ultimately can scale and serve systemic more students. So any comments on either the kind of problems and challenges that we see, or if maybe we can begin to talk a bit about looking outward in terms of opportunities. I hope we will have just a few minutes, which we should have to entertain some questions from the audience. We'll take one of the mics away. Questions from the audience. Allow it to get circulated out of the get circulated.
Absolutely. And I'll just expand on what Eric is talking about. At the beginning, it was just perception that an outside agency was going to come in and run the academy at the high school, and that's not true. Once I was able to communicate exactly what the goals, the intention were going to be to get the students to have these units that they can transfer on to a junior college or a college, then people began to listen because they felt that only the students taking the Ag Academy that would qualify would be those students whose parents work for the company. And so I made that very clear to Eric. I said, can we just align any students, even though their parents don't work for the company? Absolutely. So they can choose to come back to us and work for us if they qualify, if they meet the criteria, get the units or what have you. We will take them even though their parents are not working for us. Or if they choose to take the units and go off to college, we will be happy. So that needed to be communicated to the community, because now the community is asking for more. They want to see more of these career pathways, because on the other hand, I serve a low socioeconomic community whose parents don't have the funds to pay. So if the students have those units already, that's helping them advance their career. Maybe that's the reason why they are graduating. So in that sense, if we're able to have a clear direction communicated to our stakeholders, then it takes collaboration from everyone. We've been able to revive our tri-agency committee in the city that involves Parks and Recs, the city of McFarland, and the school district. And so we've been working together on thinking about other career pathways that they would be able to support. And I'll give you another one that we are looking at. and it's the Explorer program through the police department. And that one is really taking off. We've been talking about that. I've been talking to the Delano Medical Center. They want to do a partnership with us. The firefighter department also wants to get involved. So at the beginning, there are some challenges, but as long as you have a clear direction that you can communicate to the stakeholders, I think we can make some great improvements in our programs and be competitive again. And that's really where I want to be at, so that we can have these career pathways for our students.
A couple of things really dovetailing on those thoughts. I think we need to break down paradigms and silos. For so long, career tech ed has been welding, wood shop, and auto mechanics. And a lot of our city leaders and county leaders say we need to bring all those things back, but they're envisioning what they experienced 30, 40, 50 years ago in high school. And that's not what we're talking about at all. So we need to do a much better job of communicating what it is we're talking about, where we are talking about that, bringing the relevance to learn, real-time project learn, taking, I've said to Darius, bring your sheet metal tradesperson in and show us what a piece of sheet metal ducting looks like, help us design it, and then go back to the field and install it in one of his homes. So they really have buy-in in the project. So it's that changing of definition of what we're really talking about. Secondly, we talk about high school certification or credits and college certification or credits. We're in the middle of a local control funding formula and Common Core state standards in the state of California. The definitions just all went out the window. I think we have an opportunity to redefine what we're doing and really talk about and tell people this is what it is, rather than try and fit it into the old box. I think that's where we're struggling. I think we're making the transition more difficult than it is. And I say that because I sit here with this panel and I heard Dr. Snavely say 13,000 kids. We have 15,000 kids. I think you guys are probably the same or a little smaller. But those are relatively small groups, which means we're smaller districts, nimble and able to move and not going to ask permission.
I think one of the challenges that we have faced, and any of us that embark down this road that we're going to face, is that ultimately we're here to serve students. Yes, we want CDE, and yes, we want to prepare students for a career. But if we do not engage those students and have them buy in to what it is we're trying to provide, then it's not going to be successful. And that's the beauty of what we've discovered with linked learning, is that, and I should have included this as part of the last question, that employer can really help provide that relevance factor for students. So that when the students are learning English, when they're learning science, when they're learning math, they can see that through the lens of the career, and they can understand why algebra, all subjects, why it's appropriate, why it's needed, why you need to learn algebra, and how it applies to your particular career needs. And that's the success we've seen, is as we've been able to engage students and engage employers and bring them into the classroom and have employers tell students, this is what you need to know, and this is how it will make you a better person and make you successful in this particular career. So the students kind of get that aha, that wow factor of, okay, I get it. I understand now why it's important for me to be able to read and to speak appropriately. Why it's important for me to be able to compute algebraic formulas and such, because it has relevance and it makes that education personal. It's not just going through the motions. It's not doing it for some test that has no relevance. And so bringing it all together is a challenge. And once the employers, at least we've discovered, once the employers see what we're doing and the students respond, they're knocking on our doors. They're saying, how can we help? How can we be a part of this exciting adventure? Because we can see that it is going to better prepare students to be productive workers for ourselves.
I think these last two comments are really, really very important. One of the things that we run into in some of our work in some parts of the country is educators understandably saying, there's so much pressure on us around getting ready to implement Common Core standards, which are going to be more challenging, more demanding. New teacher evaluation systems coming down the pike. There are all these other things that are sort of dropped onto the schools at this point. They say, as much as we might like to do, pay more attention to applied learning, we can't take the time. My counter argument always is, for an awful lot of kids, you're not going to get them to be able to rise to the challenge of meeting higher academic standards if you can't address the kind of the relevancy and engagement and motivation question, and if you can't figure out a way to unify these things and make them not seem as additive, where it's a kind of zero-sum game. You don't have space. You only have space to do one thing, so therefore the other thing gets squeezed out. I'm just wondering how your kind of rank and file teachers are responding to this kind of dilemma, in a sense, or at least this challenge around Common Core and more applied learning opportunities.
Well, again, it's an area that, it's taken some time, and we have slowly, over 7 years, grown into the process. We started out with 2 pathways, and as I indicated earlier, we're now up to 9. But it's taking a lot of conversations, a lot of discussion, a lot of teachers actually seeing results, recognizing that there is value when they see the student engagement, when they see the discipline go down, the student attendance go up. We actually have seen teacher attendance increase that are in a pathway because they're getting a positive response from the students, and so they want to be there. They're very excited and getting exactly what they need. So we've been fortunate that it's not been, this is not a superintendent directive, thou shalt do this. It really has been a holistic approach where the teachers, the school board, administration, business community, chamber, city government, everyone has collectively come together to recognize the value of this and how it can best be accomplished. But we've had a lot of negotiations. The last 3 negotiation sessions have, quite frankly, focused heavily on the pathways and how can we better facilitate the growth of students in the pathways.
Since you mentioned teachers, I wonder whether or not through the chamber or elsewhere, you've had any experience with teacher externships. This is a strategy that some places around the country have realized is a cost-effective way to actually get more teachers' experience in a variety of workplaces so they can then bring that knowledge back and get a better understanding of why it's important to broaden their thinking about the kinds of skills that they need.
Long term, we have had an existence of a program called Business Partner for a Day, where we actually invite educators to go into the workplace, and then on the rotating year, it's the reverse, where the business community goes into the schools. But now there is actually another program as well for externships for our educators to go out and to work in the workplace later on at the end of the school year and have that more unique conversation in that business site and be able to spend some time there and establish very strong relationships too. And we have seen that come from the Educator and Business Partner for a Day as well, where those relationships continue. One unique thing that I found to be a lot of fun too with one of our middle schools even was the fact of the e-mentoring opportunity, where our kids are very savvy on the computer. They love email, so the opportunity for pods of kids to get together and to submit questions to professionals within our community, and professionals who can access that, respond back to the kids. So that's another mentoring type of opportunity as well. And one other thing I just want to mention that has worked well, because you had asked a question earlier about career exploration, job shadowing. So we've also partnered with our Rotary Club of Porterville for a number of years, and in a one-day opportunity, we have 400 students that are freshmen and sophomore. The freshmen are going as groups for career exploration, and then we send the sophomores out on a job shadowing, and then that same day is utilized with something like 900 to 1,000 8th graders who come in and get the pathway showcase, and that's one showcase. There's another showcase that happens the week before. So establishing those various different types of entities within your community, I think, really strengthens it. And when we look at a regional approach, I think that's just going to make it that much more of an opportunity for students and to share those different types of work-based learning opportunities. We're already looking at Paramount now.
So we got some great examples here on the table. I don't know whether it's feasible to detach one of these mics or not. Are they detachable? No, they're but why don't we open this up for questions? If people will speak loudly, we can probably manage this one. Let's do that. I don't need a mic, but I can shout out. So, we've got some really good experience here, representing both sides. So, opportunity for questions. Right over there.
Thank you. Within your pathways at your schools, I imagine that you have both core academic and CTE teachers working together within those pathways. And I'm just curious, I know that there's some challenges to get that started, to get those two teachers working together. What were some of the challenges that you found at the beginning, and how did you overcome those?
You know, one of the things we've talked about in the educational field for a lot of years, professional learning communities, and to the extent we have healthy PLCs, that's the first step, is to build a culture of collaboration rather than, again, silos within our own silo, which are classrooms with closed doors and covered windows. Many of us, I'm sure, have broken those down over the years. But back to John's point a few minutes ago, that the teacher reaction has really been not reluctance to do something different, but reluctance to have the freedom to do something different. In years past, it was textbook 1 to 400 pages, and do it in sequence and do it in pace and hit the certain milestones. Now we're actually having conversations with teachers in collaboration with one another, saying, talk with one another about what it is you need my child to know from my course to your course. What does that data reflect? How do we accomplish that? And it's really unleashing their creativity. And the great teachers, especially the CTE teachers, have always done that and have just not asked. The rest of the teachers are now experiencing that freedom, or getting to explore that freedom to be able to do those things. And so I think, to your point, they're excited about the opportunity, not sure how long it'll last, but it appears, again, with Common Core and that more open source exploration, that we're on the brink of being able to do that, teachers being excited about that chance.
I mean, we have helped facilitate that by creating a common planning period for all of our core and CTE teachers to have the same period free, with the intent that you will meet and discuss, projects that you'll be doing, co-learning projects and so on. So it's anything you can do to help facilitate teachers coming out of the classroom and working together, because as was mentioned, it's a new concept for many teachers to actually talk to other teachers outside of their particular subject area.
Other questions?
Nancy Hoffman. I want to know about your experience with community colleges and what you would say about the degree of alignment between the pathways, the career courses that you're offering in high school, and the ability of the community colleges to take those students and transition them seamlessly into the right courses in community college.
That's one of the big goals of the Pathways Trust here.
And I hate to dominate the microphone so much. In Porterville, we've had some successes and we have some challenges in doing that. We have our Porterville College, who is at the table for just about everything we're doing. The downside is Porterville College is just one college of the Kern Community College district, and they're not the largest college in the district. So the Bakersfield College tends to kind of dominate the culture of the Kern Community College district. And since they're not necessarily engaged in this pathway model, we're still working hard to get Porterville College the freedom to do what we would like to see done. And it's not even just the administration per se, but we always have the academic senates that tend to want to resist a lot of things, their own entity and such. But we've had great successes. Mrs. Brown, who is here, our Pathways Director, her and I have met with the Academic Senate and the faculty at our local college to try to help them better understand what Pathways are all about and how we can help facilitate and align our curriculums. Because, as we all know, at one time, high school curriculum was A and college curriculum was B, and never the two shall meet. We're breaking that down and trying to help better prepare students for what the college wants, yet also have the college understand that what we're doing or expected to do in high school does help make them a better college student.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're working actively with Bakersfield College and West Hills College, Coalinga, and recently with Reedley College. And I would say we've had a wonderful engagement with the community colleges working with the high schools. Part of it is they're all, agriculture right now is in the revision process as far as the transfer model curriculum. So it's like a perfect opportunity for us to get at the table. And the professors and ag department chairs have been visiting our companies, meeting with our people out in the fields and our shops, and coming back to me with amendments to their curriculum as a result of those engagements with different people in our companies. And they have been very good. One example would be we took a group of professors to some of our ag mechanic shops, and as a result, Bakersfield College is now developing AA in ag mechanics that we're going to be piloting at McFarland High School.
And if I may expand on that, at the beginning, like I said, you need to communicate what the overall goal is. I went to the ag teachers and I said, I want this to happen. What do you mean you're going to bring outsiders to do my job? No, that can't happen. And I started explaining to them it's really to enrich our program. And not only that, they're going to come in and take a look at our machinery. So there you go. Now they're listening to me because they complain the machines are old, we can't teach welding, they're outdated, all of those arguments. And I said, we can make it happen. We just have to be consistent and communicate our needs. With the colleges, Eric has really opened the door for us. And I know that one of the obstacles that we have is we need to provide a classroom where we can have a college professor come in, teach our students, but also allow outside students to come into this class. So what I've done is I've identified the classroom and we're going to make it happen. It so happens that nobody has really signed up for these classes from the outside, so it's only our students and then we can monitor. But it has to be, again, that collaboration between our staff and their willingness to see the end in mind, that overall goal that we all have to make sure that our students are competitive, and ultimately we can transfer the units onto a college, because otherwise there is no collaboration if you just say, no, they won't transfer, it is just an extra activity. No, it has to be aligned to our own curriculum with an overall goal. So it's been working, and the collaboration that we have had has just been tremendous. I know I've been getting calls from 8th grade parents already wanting to get their kids in the pathway through the Paramount collaboration.
Mike, did you want to comment on that?
Just want to add a bit to that. I think it's a change in perspective. The question was interesting. How do we, if I heard it right, it's what's our relationship with the junior colleges and how do we pass our kids off to them? I think that's what we used to do. I think we were a sequential system, almost a relay team, pass the baton to the next, where now we're more of a rowing team. We have to look at what we do, what they do, what private sector does, and align our activities. We might bring private sector in, we might bring university and JCs in, or we might go out to them, because I think in many cases, now it's more alignment of parallel activities rather than sequential activities. I think we really need to enhance those relationships to ensure that occurs.
So, in the last few minutes, what I want to do is just give each of you an opportunity to start with that end, just to kind of think a bit ahead about opportunities represented by the Career Pathways Trust, how this might enable you to both scale your own work and implications moving toward more regional systems.
Well, I would go back to the regional system itself and how we had that opportunity to work with a broader base of folks and actually work through our chambers throughout our county and have that opportunity to bring more work-based learning opportunities to our students. There are times when you're going to need to engage other employers who are not within your community, and so doing it on a regional basis, to me, it's very exciting. That's my big pie in the sky. I can hardly wait to see that implemented, where we're all working together as a region and expanding those opportunities for the youth.
We've been looking at this for a little while. We fortunately were selected as an AB 790 mentor district for the career pathway process, and so we're working with 6 other school districts, and we're very excited about it because we know it's something that works. We think the opportunity to tap into this large pot of funds is significant and will help approach it from a regional standpoint much more effectively. obviously, you know, every one of us as superintendents, we have to be selfish and recognize, you know, we need to make our own students successful, but at the same point, as long as we can work with others, not at the expense of our students, but to enhance our own program, then I think this is an opportunity to help everyone.
I think it's a great opportunity right now because what we're talking about is really pushing students or providing pathways to students to be successful. And that's not a 4.0 grade point average. It doesn't mean anything. They can have a whole head full of knowledge, but if they don't know what to do with it, it's not practical. I think we're at the cusp of being able to move into what the business community has said, which is we need kids that can think, that can problem solve, that can speak, that can work collaboratively. And that's where, as the education industry, we've fallen short, not because we don't know that, but because we've lived in that box for so long. So these relationships we're talking about will be that mechanism to answer that demand. The business community can say, you're producing because we're part of your production team. You're producing the kind of learned student that we need. More importantly, I talked about that homeless child earlier. Those students that we know might end up with the knowledge, but no technical skill or not even experience from a parent or a lack of parent to know what to do next and enter the career in the community. This is the pathway and this is the relationship that they'll build that for them.
As most of you know, we have the high percentage of high school dropouts in our community, and these are exciting times because we look forward to these programs that will help get those students back into, instead of being a dropout, give them the skills that they need, and like John said earlier, give them the aha moment. Why do you have to take geometry? Because geometry can translate into a skill, and whether it's sheet metal or welding or carpentry, that can get you employed. But if they don't see the relevance, it's going to be difficult for them to want to partake in some of those classes. But understanding and so that again, the material is relevant. So the students understand it, they want to participate in it, and again, it's about students. If they don't want, we want to take advantage of the students that are not excited about maybe math, science, or English, but have other opportunities and have other skills or other desires that can get them into an employment center instead of being on the unemployment line and getting into some bad activities. So we're very excited about this partnership so that we can help build some of the curriculum that will teach the students the areas that will be excited in learning that can then translate into higher income for them and keep them off the streets.
Thank you. And Eric, let me frame a question which was actually triggered by John's comment about the role. His district now has a lot of experience playing other districts that don't have that experience move toward a learning model. You represent now a big, powerful company that has both capacity and real commitment from the top of the company to want to address this problem. So, help us think a bit about how to use that leverage that you've got today so help broaden the base of employers like to areas who really get this and understand why it's so important to engage with students.
Absolutely. No, we've been having this conversation very, very, very recently because we've had lots of interest in our partner schools. We have possibly 2 more schools that we're going to start up in 2015. And while we can definitely benefit from employing these students when they graduate, we also recognize that we're not going to employ all of them. And the Central Valley is all about agriculture, and there's other agricultural companies in the Central Valley that will benefit from these students graduating with the skills and the higher capabilities. So as close as 2 days ago, we just had a meeting with our executives talking about which other ag companies can we reach out to, which other growers, which other small companies, large companies can we partner with to really possibly take this to a larger scale so that the impact in the Central Valley would be much more substantial.
I guess just my last comments would be, in my community, I want to make sure that students are competitive, speak at least a second, possibly a third language, so they can go out there and compete. And then at the end of the rainbow, I look at it, it's very simple. I'm the biggest employer in the community, employing about 150 teachers. And when I spoke to Paramount, they said, if the kids in the Ag Academy graduate, we can start them at around 35,000. I'm thinking, that's a great goal because I can only pay them 31,000 when they start with me, so I'll just send them over to Paramount and make it happen. They don't have to spend all that money in college. And it used to be in the olden days that we were against these sort of career pathways because we only had the vision of sending your lower economically disadvantaged students into these career pathways. But in my community, it doesn't matter. 97% are Latinos and 45 are English learners. I want them to have a job and to be productive citizens. They can come back and help us do it better.
So Russ is going to come up and tell you about our hopes about how you'll have some conversations over lunch, and you'll also help us think a bit about how to use that leverage that you've got today so help broaden the base of employers like Darius who really get this and understand why it's so important to engage in schools.
Absolutely. We've been having this conversation very, very, very recently because we've had lots of interest in our partner schools. We have possibly 2 more schools that we're going to start up in 2015. And while we can definitely benefit from employing these students when they graduate, we also recognize that we're not going to employ all of them. And the Central Valley is all about agriculture, and there's other agricultural companies in the Central Valley that will benefit from these students graduating with the skills and the higher capabilities. So as close as 2 days ago, we just had a meeting with our executives talking about which other ag companies can we reach out to, which other growers, which other small companies, large companies can we partner with to really possibly take this to a larger scale so that the impact in the Central Valley would be much more substantial.
I guess just my last comments would be, in my community, I want to make sure that students are competitive, speak at least a second, possibly a third language, so they can go out there and compete. And then at the end of the rainbow, I look at it, it's very simple. I'm the biggest employer in the community, employing about 150 teachers. And when I spoke to Paramount, they said, if the kids in the Ag Academy graduate, we can start them at around 35,000. I'm thinking, that's a great goal because I can only pay them 31,000 when they start with me, so I'll just send them over to Paramount and make it happen. They don't have to spend all that money in college. And it used to be in the olden days that we were against these sort of career pathways because we only had the vision of sending your lower economically disadvantaged students into these career pathways. But in my community, it doesn't matter. 97% are Latinos and 45 are English learners. I want them to have a job and to be productive citizens. They can come back and help us do it better.
Battles against the wall, those are actually students. The only time I've never heard a peep out of a student has been at this event. They've been very gracious and sharing their time and for their instructor to bring them over. So let's give that plenty of when you edit that video, just make me look good, okay? I'm sure my mother's going to ask for a copy. So we're just about at the lunch hour. So before we break for lunch, I really wanted to thank the gracious hospitality of the State Center Consortium for providing the box lunch for today. We've been trying to do this on a limited budget, and they graciously volunteered to provide that lunch today. So Lori Martin from the State Center Community College Consortium, thank you for lunch. And she wants to just tell you about a new opportunity that's coming up shortly that you might want to participate in.
Thanks, Russ. As Russ mentioned, I'm Lori Morgan. I'm the Director of State Center Consortium. And I want to share 2 really exciting things and try to help connect the dots for all this wonderful information that's going on today and how it's being shaped really in our area here. So before I get to those 2 things, though, I want to just share really quickly about State Center Consortium. Thanks, Russ. I kind of coerced Russ into giving me 5 minutes of time in exchange for lunch, so I hope that's okay. But State Center Consortium is a collaborative of multiple K-12 school districts and post-secondary institutions like State Center Community College District, Fresno State, Fresno Pacific, and others. And it was formed over 20 years ago, really as a collaborative between Fresno County Office of Education and State Center Community College District. It's been funded over the years by various different grants. Right now, we primarily serve Fresno, Madera, and Mariposa counties, and we are funded through the California Community College Chancellor's Office through our community collaborative grants. We have the unique opportunity of being the connector between our high school career technical ed instructors and our post-secondary instructors. We do a lot of professional development workshops and collaborative meetings for those instructors to be able to streamline their programs for career pathways so that students have an easy transition from high school to community college. I wanted to take an opportunity, though, to share with you some of the things that State Center Consortium is planning. In addition to what we do with teachers, we also work with students, counselors, and administrators. We support educational conferences and things like that, which leads me to our conference that we are going to be, along with some of our partners, hosting in February. When you go to lunch, there will be these flyers on the tables, and I encourage you to take a look. There's a QR code if you want to find out more information. It takes you to our website, and you can register if you'd like. But this is our first Central Valley Career Technical Education Conference. It is targeted at educational leaders, administrators, learning directors, and of course, business partners. The goal here is to try to establish partnerships between our educational programs and our local businesses. There will be all kinds of great breakout sessions, including information about Moose Learning. Our friends from Porterville will be there. We'll be talking about the new CTE 2.0, what that looks like, why it's valuable, model business partnerships. There'll be a panel there. And of course, we have an amazing keynote coming from New Jersey. His name is Michael Bizdak. He's the corporate director of, he's the director of corporate contributions for Johnson & Johnson. And they've established an amazing program called Bridge to Employment that they've been doing for the last nearly 20 years, that links students in high schools and community colleges to businesses so that they can get some experience out in the workplace. So that leads me to the next thing that we're working on in conjunction with the conference. What we're planning to do is unveil our what we're calling our Employer and Education Engagement Network. And so you've heard the term intermediary a bit today. And back in October, I had the amazing opportunity to attend the Intermediary Network Leadership Forum, where I got to meet Josh Bruno, who will be talking to you in just a little bit, and other professionals from across the nation. It was a very intimate group talking about how they work as intermediaries between our local business partners and our educational programs and how they make that work. And it was a really exciting learning experience for me. And so what we have decided to do is try to establish our own intermediary for our partners in the Valley. And we are hoping that we will be able to use some of the Career Pathways Trust to help support this project, but we've already been working with Fresno and Madera Compacts to get business partners on board, and we're hoping that our educational partnerships that we already have through the consortium will create a network that will allow some work-based learning opportunities for students and give them the experience that they need to be successful once they graduate and go into the workforce. So I think that I've said all I really needed to say. Again, there'll be some information more about State Center Consortium. Go to our website, statecenter.com, to get more information, and then, of course, the flyer on the conference. I encourage you to register to attend. And if you have any more information, I'll have my business cards out if you want to talk to me or get more information about things. But I hope to see you there. So thanks again for your time.